Okay, so I've now been sober for 237 days and 14 hours. And genuinely, like, this has been one of the best journeys I've ever been on, like, in my life. It's changed so many different aspects. And I think there's a real conversation starting around sobriety, especially with Gen Z. I think we're all, like, much more in our health grind and, like, trying to figure out our place in this world and the world that we want to live in and the body and mind that we want to have in this journey. So I think it's going to be an interesting topic. I'm going to keep it really like raw, really authentic today. I just want to talk to you, like anyone who's watching this, who might have been in my position where 6 months ago, frankly, like I was in a terrible place. I was really depressed. I didn't know what I was going to do with my life. I didn't have any hope for the future. I wasn't excited about the world that I was living in or like my journey in this. I just didn't have any excitement, any hope, any vision for myself in the future. I couldn't see myself living to the next year, to be like completely honest. And then like flash forward to now, 6 months later, when I've been sober for 6 months, but also like made a pretty transformational change in my life through a bunch of different mediums. I'm like pretty ecstatic with where I'm at. I have so much hope for the future. I know like exactly what I'm building, what I'm working on every day. I'm like fired up to go and do that, to succeed and to build a life that my younger self would have been proud of. And I think that's pretty incredible. And I want to help as many people watching get there as possible. And I think a key aspect of how I got here in this roadmap is the sobriety. So first of all, I want to talk a little bit about alcohol in general. So two things I was addicted to. Well, not addicted to, but I was consuming a lot of alcohol and I realized it didn't serve a purpose, and I was heavily addicted to nicotine. Those are the two things that I went sober from, quit, and just haven't touched since. So alcohol, I think everyone uses it and it's pretty ingrained into the UK culture and international culture that when you're growing up, alcohol is a vehicle for you to express yourself, to have fun and to loosen yourself up for social situations so that you can create more vibrant and rich memories. And I think this has a crucial role during that period because we're kids, we're pretty insecure, we don't know our place in the world, we don't know how the world actually operates, and we're all socially anxious, we're all up in our heads, and we try to dull that so that we can enjoy the moment more. It's kind of a way to bridge the gap between the person you are in terms of social confidence and the person you want to be. And it allows you to just jumpstart and like leap to that person so that you can enjoy social situations. So it can be a really like powerful social lubricant, and it can create a lot of memories that are pretty core for your foundational being and like your upbringing. Like I attest lots of my childhood memories or like teen memories and the best times to when I was drinking. When I was at uni and when I was drinking and like creating a lot of these memories. A lot of my best times were when I was drinking, but that came from a place of insecurity and a lack of confidence because it needed that vehicle. And I felt like that the last sort of 4, 5, 6 years maybe, especially at university. But the big transformation for me was around 6 months ago. I just looked at myself and I said, why am I actually drinking? Like, I woke up from a night out and I said, why did I do that? Did that actually add any value to my night whatsoever? And the answer became no. It became pretty apparent that it just didn't. In fact, I found that when I was drinking now, it was actually like dulling my social ability, making me have way less chat and just like muting my personality so that I wasn't as fun to be around, I wasn't as energetic, I didn't feel like myself when I was going out. And I think genuinely it was just dulling me and nerfing me almost. I was less able to express myself, I was less able to like connect with other people, and I just couldn't enjoy myself as much. And I think that was because I'd spent a lot of time doing a lot of internal work. I'd worked through a lot of my understanding of how I operate and my internal wiring through things like the Vipassana meditation retreat. I did 10 days of silence in Indonesia, and I am very into sort of biohacking and understanding my body and my wiring. I've also been through therapy for the last 6 months. All of that meant that I got to a place where I was very confident in myself and my social situations and like how I would interact with other people, such that I was my best self when I was sober. So before, I'd been using alcohol to jump to my best self, to be able to facilitate those better memories and those better experiences. But now I was already my best self, and alcohol is an inhibitor. So it wasn't inhibiting the bad things anymore, it was inhibiting the good things. It was dulling me, it was dulling my personality, my chat. It was slowing down my brain so I was less able to comprehend what was going on around me, and as a result, less able to build relationships with people while I was going out. It felt like alcohol was being used now as a distraction from reality as opposed to enhancing it, which sucks. So then I said, well, I'm going to quit. I'm just going to try it for a bit. I'm going to see what it's like just to not drink. The first night out was always the hardest because it's just a weird vibe. Like, you're so used to drinking, and the habit and everything around nights out are ingrained towards drinking. So being the only sober one, it's weird. Like, you've got your non-alcoholic beers or whatever, and it's strange. But after that first night out, it gets easier and easier, and you're better able to endure those experiences. And then you'll go through a period where it's worse. Like, the first few will be worse than when you're drinking. And then the next few will be way better because you've learned how to interact with people. You've learned how to go on a night out and be in that position without the intoxication. And then suddenly, like, everything is so much richer. You can hear the sounds better. You can feel the music better. You can have more genuine and depthful conversations with everyone around you. And you feel a lot more present. You can kind of soak in that moment a little bit more. I'm sure if you've drunk, you realize this or you understand this, but when you understand what I'm meaning, when you're on a night out and you're drinking, the memory is hazed. You don't quite know what you did. You don't quite feel like it was present. The recollection of that time almost feels like a dream, or like you're recalling a dream. When you're sober on a night out, you recall it as if it was yesterday. Like, you have full clarity over the experience that you had. And I think that's a lot more fruitful and a lot more powerful of a memory. So before, where I was using alcohol to create better memories and to facilitate those memories, although great, and I have the emotional connection to them, they're blurred. I can't remember them fully. I don't quite grasp what I did on all of those times. I just have the memory, or the emotional memory, that it was a good time. Now I actually have, like, pure memory. I know exactly what happened, and I love every moment of that. And it feels a lot better because of that. So yeah, that's like why I stopped drinking, the social benefit and the immediate benefit. But I think it translates a lot deeper than just that. A few physiological benefits I've noticed. I noticed my sleep is way better, my skin is way better. At the gym, I'm able to make progress a lot faster and pack on muscle a lot quicker, which is always good. My mentality and my mental space is so much broader. Like, I have a lot more mental bandwidth for the things that I want to do. My ability to recall information is so much clearer. And I feel like my speed of mental operation is faster. It's almost like I've plugged in additional compute to my brain and I'm able to function at a higher level. It's like upgrading your memory card, or like your GPU in your computer. That's what I feel like going sober did. But then also, on the other side, nicotine. Nicotine, again, heavily addicted to it, and it started as a mental enhancer. I started using it to improve my work because nicotine can have, like, mental benefits and cognitive benefits. But then I got addicted because nicotine is very addictive, and that caused me to rely on it for work. And then outside of work, I was very jittery. I wasn't able to focus as much. It had kind of cooked my dopaminergic system. I got a lot of my motivation and my ability to take action from that substance, from nicotine. And it meant that the rest of my life, and like the sober time, it was a lot harder to take action because nicotine, as well as alcohol, it fires your dopaminergic system. It makes it easier to take action because you're artificially boosting those receptors in your brain, allowing you to take action when you're on those substances. But because you're boosting it in that way, it means that the rest of the time falls below the baseline because everything kind of averages out. So the rest of the time, it's a lot harder to take action. So although you get the immediate benefits, over the long term, your ability to take action naturally drops. And it meant that I would be lying in bed first thing in the morning, not wanting to get up and do anything, not wanting to take action, not wanting to jump into my work. And then whenever I wasn't either vaping or having snus was like my critical addiction, I just couldn't take action as well as I could at all. So then stopping those things meant And I've noticed this, I'm much better able to take action on the things that I want to on a day-to-day. It feels like my activation energy for difficult tasks is a lot less. It takes a lot less for me to get up and go and to do things that I want. For example, going to the gym, I can just get up, go, I don't have to think about it now. Whereas when I was on nicotine and when I was drinking quite a lot, it would take me a lot to get out of bed and be like, I actually have to go do this. I don't want to do this workout. It takes me a while. It takes me like 20 minutes to kind of charge myself up, get ready to go and do it. I can do it instantly now. Same with work. I just sit down on my computer and I go. Before I couldn't. It would take me half an hour or popping a snus to be able to get into work, which was just not fun. So that's like the second key benefit, I think, is the ability to take action. But I think a more nuanced benefit, and one that people don't really speak about, when you're not sober, when you're drinking, when you're smoking, when you're doing like any of these things or consuming any artificial substance, your brain biologically adapts to the use of those substances. Imagine this is like your dopaminergic and serotonergic baseline. This is where you're at day to day. This is your capacity for joy. As soon as you start taking these substances, initially, your capacity for joy skyrockets. It feels like the best thing in the world. This is how drugs work, right? They work on the brain. They make you think that it's the best thing ever. And then as a result, that brings your baseline or your level of joy, your perception of joy, up to match that. So although you are experiencing more joy, how much you actually feel rises to here. So you experience the exact same level of joy that you did before while you were on those substances. You adapt. And then as a result, when you drop the substances, you're now way below that baseline. So whenever you're not doing drugs, having nicotine, drinking alcohol, whatever, your perception of the world is so much worse than what it was without any of those chemicals, without any of that stimulation. So now, if you're not taking all of these substances, you're actually experiencing the world more negatively and worse than you ever would before. And then when you go sober, this baseline comes down again, and you start to perceive the world just as joyfully as you did when you were a kid, or when you weren't taking any of these substances and didn't do any of these things. Your biological perception resets itself, and then you're better able to experience the smaller joys of the world. So I noticed when I was heavily addicted to nicotine, it massively amplified the depression I was going through, because it meant I didn't find any joy in anything. Like, I couldn't see the positives. I was very neurotic, and I would just rot in my bed because I didn't think there was purpose in living. I didn't think there were joys in this world. And I just sat there craving nicotine again to bring me up to the baseline perception where life felt livable again. You drop below, it feels unlivable, and then you have to go sober to bring that baseline back down and realize that actually life's pretty beautiful on its own. So that's the third benefit I noticed, is it made me more aware of the small joys of this world. Like, listening to music just felt better. Going to the gym and getting that dopaminergic response just felt better. Doing work, it was actually enjoyable because I was receptive to the small levels of dopamine that it would give you. Those small hits when you finish a task, you were almost resistant to when you were off nicotine but still taking it. You just wouldn't get those hits, or you wouldn't feel those hits, so it would be really hard to keep going or to continue taking action. But now I'm a lot more sensitive to those hits, so when I finish a task, it gets me so gassed. It builds momentum and it allows me to keep working and going at it harder, which I love. So those are the kind of three key things. I think it allows me to enjoy every second of the day much better. It reduces the energy needed to take action and to do things that you want to do things that you know your younger self would have been proud of. And it makes you more responsive to the dopaminergic triggers of day-to-day life, allowing you to be better able to live a daily life, a normal daily life, and not feel down about that, not feel like it's not worth it. I think that's pretty great. But then there's also another one, and I think this one's pretty key, and this one's one that I'm only really realizing sort of 4, 5, 6 months in. And that's like my awareness of my emotional state, my mental models, and like how I perceive the world around me. I think a lot of people don't understand themselves truly, and substances massively enhance that fact. A lot, like, you experience emotions every single day, right? But how often do you sit when you're down and think, okay, why am I down? What is the actual cause? What has prompted this? And then how can I avoid this in the future? Like, how often do you actually do that with your emotions? Probably like not very often. I never did. Didn't do it like at all. I would feel that emotion and I'd do something else to distract me or to kind of try to jump ship to a different emotion, one that I enjoyed more. But I think that's flawed in the sense that you need to understand why you go through certain emotions. You need to understand that. You need to feel those emotions. You need to process those emotions. And you need to label and understand why, so that in future, those negative emotions aren't actually perceived negatively, but you understand that it is just an ebb and a flow of daily life, and you will experience both negative and positive. And those are both things that you have to experience, and you should learn to love the experience of both. Substances easily combat and stop you from having to think about emotions. If you're feeling down, quick hit and you're back to feeling positive. You're never having to face these negative emotions. And as a result, when you're sober and there's a lot more negative emotions, it's a lot harder to deal with and to live with those emotions because you've never labeled them, you've never processed them, and you've never understood that they are natural, they are something that needs to be felt, and then like gone from there and built resilience to it and learned to accept it. It's distraction. It's distraction with substance. It's escapism, and it's trying to build a different mental vision of the world we live in. The world we live in is hard. The world we live in can be painful. It is rough. There's times when you're going to just suck and life's going to beat you down. And you need to understand that that's okay, and that's part of the process and part of what makes life great. That's unavoidable. Substances are a mechanism to try and build a mental vision that life is better than that, rather than just accepting life for what it is, learning to live with it, and learning to build joy for both the negative and the positive. Yeah. I think that's what sobriety's helped me to do, because it's allowed me to create more space for those thoughts and to kind of understand my internal wiring, come out the other side. So hopefully this waffle has made some sense to you. Hopefully it's helped, and hopefully it's maybe inspired you to give sobriety a go. Again, I have nothing against drinking and against all of these things. I think there's a time and a place for it, but I think if you like want to see a change in your life, or you are struggling in like any domain of your life, just give it a go. See if it helps you, because I know it's had such a transformational impact for me. I'm a lot healthier, I'm a lot more physically fit, more mentally fit, I have a lot more awareness of life and a lot more appreciation of it, a lot more joy, a lot more ability to take action on the things that I want to do, and I see this world and this life is a lot more positively skewed now that I've given sobriety a go for 6 months. Like, I love it, and I want more people to experience this, because I think if more people did, the world would be a better place. We'd be helping each other a lot more. We'd be building cool shit together, and it would be a place that I would be confident bringing people into the world, knowing that people had that headspace, had that awareness, and just, there was more joy in the world. So thank you so much for watching. This has been great. I've really enjoyed the sit-down chat. I want to be talking about loads more stuff like this, bettering the body, mind, business, and everything else that you want to build and take from this world. So if you have enjoyed, I would absolutely love it if you could drop a like, drop a subscribe on this video. Thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you in the next one. Bye-bye.